Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Here we are. Shane Martin from the Spiritist Society of Richmond in Richmond, Virginia. We are this morning studying the book Courage by several spirit authors through the mediumship of Francisco Cândido Xavier. What a blessing to be here today. And we're going to be talking about chapter 11, titled Reciprocal Trust. And this is by, let me make a note. So we are all on the same page. I want to make sure everybody knows where we are. And then that's by the Spirit Emmanuel. So that is chapter 11, Reciprocal Trust. So let's see what Emmanuel has for us this morning. If you're watching this live, if you're not, whatever time you're watching us, you're always welcome. Quote, many people on earth say that they are unworthy of working in the pathway of goodness, alleging they do not deserve the Lord's trust, when logic shows otherwise. If the Lord had not observed your caring dedication, he would not have entrusted you with family formation, where many beings are waiting for your affection and cooperation. If he had not appreciated your spirit of responsibility, he would not have allowed you to develop tasks of your intelligence by way of influencing a large number of people. If he had not believed in your nobility of feelings, he would not have induced you to develop principles and attitudes and achievement of good work in order to spread the word, in order to spread in the world the kingdom of love. If he had not recognized in you the sense of choice, he would not have led you to examine theories between good and evil in order for you to freely choose your own way. If he had not accepted your discernment, he would not have allowed you to obtain this or that title of competence in order to relieve, improve, teach, or edify the neighbor's life. If the Lord had not trusted you, he would not have lent you the son or daughter to whom you give education, the affection that you bless, the soil that cultivate, the coin that you give. Quote, a leaf does not fall from the tree without the Father's permission, unquote, Jesus taught. Every being's possibility in the edification of goodness is a concession of the Creator. The credit comes from the Supreme Father. The application and subsequent responsibilities incurred are our own concern. When you refer to the faith's question, do not look only at the faith that you put in God. Remember that God equally trusts in you. Unquote, Emmanuel. Let's take a few minutes to just digest it. God is trusting in you to spread his kingdom of love and kindness everywhere he goes. How does it feel to know that God is trusting you? Your loved ones, all the 8 billion incarnate beings and the many discarnate beings around us. And that's very important because in the times of planetary transition, when this is going to air, many of us are asking, especially after the pandemic, right? A lot of people are not returning to their activities, not only at the Spirit Center, but also in volunteering, which is very important in order for the charitable works on the earth to go forward, because they are thinking that only the physical is what matters, and enjoy to travel, because we had to stay more contained within a certain amount of time. And many people are like, well, I may be unworthy of working in the pathway of goodness, alleging they do not deserve the Lord's trust when logic show otherwise. People may say, well, I'm not perfect. How can I give a lecture? I'm not perfect. I don't know enough. How can I translate? I don't know enough. How can I be a past giver? I am full of defects. How can I be a spiritual worker? Yes, you can. Remember, you've been given so much, and we need to give back. Jesus chose, when he incarnated on the earth, 12 apostles, right, as tradition says, and many others who followed him around, especially the women who were not counted within the 12, but they were there. And if you look at the depictions of them, not only in the New Testament, but also in the books such as Good News by Humberto de Campos, Jesus in the Home, and New Luz, you see they're just like us. They doubt, they falter, they make mistakes, they come back. And God is trusting us in spite of our shortcomings. He says, if you weren't caring towards others, He would not have given you family, because we have to care for one another. If He had not appreciated your responsibility, He would not have allowed you to develop intelligence by way of influencing a large number of people. I'm going to stop here, because when we develop tasks of intelligence, when we go and study, we acquire knowledge, we build things, we teach things, we accomplish things in our careers, for example, or even in the home if you're a stay at home parent or caregiver. You are influencing a large number of people, and God is trusting that you're going to do the best you can with the resources that you have, that you're going to develop that intelligence. That's why we need to ask ourselves, what am I doing with my intelligence, with my competence, with my time? Am I choosing the task of goodness or not? In the third part of the Spirit's book, first chapter, third part of the Spirit's book is our divine laws. The first chapter talks about natural law. In that chapter, the Spirit's defined to us what's good and what's evil, and say there's no neutral. If you're not doing the good, you are incurring in evil. So when I spend my time doing the good for others, I'm aligned with the divine laws. If God had not believed in the ability of feelings, He would not have induced you to develop principles and attitudes and achievement on good work in order to spread in the world the kingdom of love. That's what we're here for. We're here to develop ourselves, to improve, and to spread the kingdom of love wherever we go. Another one part here that talks about competence goes hand in hand with the intelligence. He says, if God had not accepted your discernment, He would have not allowed you to obtain this or that title of competence in order to relieve, improve, teach, or edify your neighbor's life. That's why we do things, friends. We don't do things and go to school to learn just for ourselves. We are here to relieve, improve, teach, and edify the neighbor's life. And a lot of us are still focusing on our checklist to get to the Ivy League, forgetting that what matters to teach the young ones is our responsibility is leading them to God, as the Gospel according to Spiritism says, for parents to lead their children to God. And God is only allowing us to have a title of competence in whichever aspect of life in order to help others. It's not just about us or a salary, a bigger house, a bigger home. Joy, 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 not joy, pleasure, 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 activity, activity. It's about teaching that even if we're wealthy, there's need around us for us to fulfill. What are our purpose? There are 8 billion people in the world. Each one of us have something that we would like to work on. And you have a purpose, you have something that God put you here to do. in order to improve the society at large. That includes developing your intelligence to do the good to others, and that includes titles, learning. I'm not just talking about titles, as in go to school get a diploma. I'm talking about learning to be a machinist. Imagine if nobody went to school to learn how to fix cars. We couldn't get around. Building schools, building roads, fixing the air conditioning. Here is really hot in the south. Being a physician, being a teacher. These are all titles of competences, because with those things and the things that don't incur as much education, but they are a title of competence. You go through a process, you learn, and you're certified to do that thing. All the works of the good that God can use, he says, in order to relieve, improve, teach, or edify the neighbor's life. This is very important for us to read to ourselves and to the youth. With the state of mental health in the youth, the increase of suicide, the increase in mental illnesses that we have to tackle, comes with a lack of purpose. And many of the youth today wants to be an influencer, for example. When we grow up, we want it to be something different. Nothing wrong with being an influencer if you're spreading the good. But there's more to the world than being an influencer and getting likes and be recognized. There's the anonymous daily work that nobody is broadcasting. When here at the Spirit Society of Richmond, we go volunteer, nobody is in the newspaper in Richmond is posting. But when only one group volunteering with the elderly, there are many groups volunteering every day to relieve, to improve, to edify the people's lives that are not coming to us. So that's why we're here, to help one another. And that's the seed of hope and the seed of connectedness that we want to impart on the newer generations, right? He says the credit comes from the Father, the Supreme Father. The application and subsequent responsibilities incurred our own concern, are our own concern. So whatever gift you have, ability, easy of learning, of doing something, use it. Choose to use it to the good of all, not just our own. Staying and being the miser. If you know how to create beautiful things, go read the books of Andrea Louise and go make animations about it, drawings about it, sharing the spiritist concept so that we can, in a lecture, I can put up in a screen and show to people what the behind the scenes look like. I can present, but I can't draw. So I depend on people who can do those things to illustrate the concepts so other people can better understand them, because we're very visual beings on the earth. If you know how to sing, please make music that is elevated, that brings hope to people. Sing at the Spirit Center. Play the instrument at the Spirit Center. Because the last thing he says, and any other talent that you may have, he can translate. We have so many hundreds of books that need still translation, so please do so. He says, when you refer to the faith question, meaning when we allege that we don't deserve the Lord's trust, do not look at the faith that you put in God, but remember that God equally trusts in you. So God is waiting for us to do in this world what we came here to do, to improve everyone's life and the lives of one another, so we can live better, and we can arrive in the spiritual world in a better condition than we left, with many of the items in our reincarnatory plan addressed to a certain extent. So if you have a talent, you have something to contribute, please do it. Believe in yourself. Tell your loved ones that they have a place in the earth, they have a purpose, that God is just trusting in us, giving us the resources for divine providence so that we can rejoice, so that we can flourish. Friends, what a blessing to be here from Richmond, Virginia. for the Spirit Society of Richmond in collaboration with Kardec Radio. And I hope that between now and next week, you can stay well, stay safe. And I will see you soon, God willing. I'll be back with you another time with another chapter of the book Courage by several spirit authors through the mediumship of Francisco Cândido Xavier. Have a blessed day.